You guys just heard the Simmons Titan 50 BEX electronic drum set. Let's open it up, unbox it, and assemble this kit, and I will play you some more of the sounds included with this kit. And I'll tell you about all the features and give you my thoughts on this electronic drum set. And a quick note about the kit. It was sent to me by Simmons. It's not gonna change my opinion. I will still be objective throughout. If you want more information about this drum set, be sure to go down into the video description. I will have links to all the places you can find it. Let's get this kit opened up. Some of the features, we've got some apparently killer sounding drums, 10-inch dual zone snare drum pad, Bluetooth audio, always something I like to see. And we've got downloadable sound packs, so we get more sounds off of the website. I think there's an app that works with it, which is really cool. And apparently the rack is pre-assembled out of the box, which is gonna save me time and it's gonna save you guys time if you pick up this drum set. I've said this in other videos, but a pro tip, in case you ever need to return this, take a photo of the layout of how they ship these boxes, how they put them together. Because if you gotta put this thing back in the box, it's not gonna be fun if you do not have a picture of it. Box for cymbal arms, let's wait for that. Oh, we've got some drumsticks. Look at this pre-assembled rack. Let's set that aside for now. Here's a crash cymbal pad. Let's open this one up. We've got plastic on the top. We've got the rubber on the bottom, so it's not a full 360 style cymbal, which is fine for drums at this price point. And something interesting is that where it goes on the stand, it's a little bit like raised. It's not directly in the center of the cymbal. That might be the case on other pads. I just can't remember. I've reviewed so many different electronic drum sets at this point. It's hard to remember all the different features of all of them. Let me show this to you real quick up close. So, 10-inch pad, looks pretty good. Hi-hat and ride cymbals. Only one pad in the box, despite saying that there's two of them. To me, it looks to be the same thing. It is slightly different. The pads themselves look the same, but the model numbers on the back here, it's the Sim 10S versus the Sim 10SC. One of them probably has a choke feature. Right, okay, so these boxes are all labeled the same thing, hi-hat and ride cymbals. Slightly confusing for the person setting that up, I will say. Hopefully that's gonna be all cleared up in the manual. We've got another CYM 10S. Now this one is labeled crash cymbal, so we'll see if it's any different. Yeah, this is another CYM 10SC. So we've got two of these crash cymbals and then two of the CYM 10S cymbals. So these are gonna be your hi-hats and crash cymbals. Let's check out the snare pad. Now from what I read, this is a 10-inch snare drum. There you go, 10-inch snare drum pad. This inner side is completely hollowed out. The trigger part of it is probably in this vertical section. Very cool looking. It's got a rubber rim on this front side. Mesh head feels like a single ply mesh head, feels good. Take one of these sticks. It feels like most electronic drums on the market right now. You know, Roland's at their high end, they're gonna have dual mesh and like just better quality overall, I would say. But for the price point, this feels pretty much similar to what is out there on the market. Mostly, I believe at this price, the main quality differences are gonna be within the drum module with how the sounds are and like what kind of features the module ends up having. And the module on this kit apparently has app support, which is really cool. We can download additional sounds to it. Really, really like the sound of that. But yeah, check out the snare drum pad here, 10 inches. And like I said, it's got this rubber rim. Feels really nice. Well put together. You can tune these, adjust the tension, just need a drum key. That's the snare pad. This might be a tom pad. Yeah, this is the tom pad. Let's check it out. Again, very similar in design. This looks to be about 8 inches. We have the same down the middle plastic piece as the snare pad. And actually what's cool about these, I didn't show this on the snare pad, but you can see the trigger sensor. You can see that red cable there. Let's try it on the other side. Yeah, and there's the black cable. So you can see it makes contact with the mesh head there. The sensor is right about here, and this is similar to what we see on the Alesis Nitro Max. Oftentimes, it's more sensitive here, as you'd imagine. You're still gonna wanna play in the center of the drum as normal. Kick pedal. We'll get to the rest of the tom drums in a minute. Kick pedals on these more or less entry-level E-kits can be questionable, as we've seen. And I typically recommend that we upgrade them, but for somebody starting off, I mean, it's probably gonna be okay. Very, very simple construction. Looks to be made of all metal. I do like the black design contrasting with the silver foot pedal. Let me bring this up, show you. Feels good. Feels like it's made well. If it were me, I would upgrade to the Yamaha FP. Forget the numbers on it, but it's their entry-level Yamaha kick drum pedal. It's like one of the ones I've used for forever and hasn't really let me down. And it's only like 70 bucks. So here's the beater that comes with it. And smart of Simmons here, because we're playing on a mesh drum head, they don't even give you the option for a felt beater here. It's plastic on both sides. So you'll need a drum key. I'm sure they give you a drum key in here somewhere, but I got one sitting here. And then I'm just gonna put this together. All you have to do is take a drum key, put this in here, and tighten it. You'll want the beater part to be at the center of the kick drum pad once you get that set up. Yeah, stock out of the box, it's pretty tight. You may want to adjust the springs on it. Personally, for me, I'm not liking the feel of it yet, but again, I haven't put it on the drum. Let's check out the accessories box. Tablet stand. One of the features we saw the Nitro Max adapt from Simmons was that tablet stand. So good on Simmons for innovation on that front. This is probably for power. Bunch of cables. We'll get to that stuff. These are gonna hold, well, you can't really see them through the plastic bags, but these are the things that hold your tom pads to the rack. Some plastic clips and Velcro, looks like cable wraps, all the standard stuff. And these are just more tom holders / snare holders. We got a cymbal arm. Let's go find more of these tom pads, because I think we have more of them. Here we've got another 8-inch tom pad. Oh, and this one looks like it kind of came here damaged. Fortunately, they do have that styrofoam in here, so it looks like that's not gonna be a problem. But something clearly in the box was digging into here. What that could have been is anybody's guess. Another 8-inch tom pad and another 8-inch tom pad. That's the last one. Let's continue on. Let's check out the kick drum pad. They include a kick drum patch, protect that mesh head. All right, this is really interesting. So, this kick drum tower. We see on a lot of these where they're rubber, right? The Alesis Nitro Max, for example, I think is rubber. Don't quote me on that, it's been a minute since I looked at that kit. But here, we have a very small playing surface, right? It doesn't encompass this entire circle. But what I will say is that it does seem wide enough that this is going to accommodate double bass pedals, which is a good thing because that's a common question that I see a lot of drummers asking. The kick drum tower looks pretty good at first glance. It does feel pretty compact, but I do like the feeling of the material on here. One thing I will say is this feels kind of integrated into here. I don't know how easy it is to replace this mesh pad, given its unique nature. You know, it's not just a 6-inch mesh drum head. This is more of a custom design. Couple more things. Let's take a look at the cymbal arm. We got the all black design. Looks good. I mean, it falls apart. User error. Sorry, guys. If that happens to you, all the pieces line up real easily. I mean, it's meant to come apart. So just make sure you are careful loosening this. This arrived loose. You just need to adjust it to where you want it and then tighten down. Let me show you guys here. It's kind of a powder coated finish. And then there's the top of it. Plastic wing nuts. Most of this is metal. This wing nut here is plastic. This memory piece here is plastic. Last box in here is the module. We've got like a single connector on the back. This is typical of drum kits at this size. This module is really compact, but I do like the layout and the look of it. It's got a few buttons on it. It's very simple. It's got your kit plus and minus, and then it's got a bunch of different stuff here for like adding a click, editing the kits. You've got your save functions, you got playback, we've got setup, tempo options, kit options, power button obviously. Then there's some I/O on the back, like we've got USB, additional crash and tom inputs. MIDI output, there's no MIDI input, which I don't really think would be that useful on a kit this size, but doesn't have it. You could probably still do MIDI in with USB though. We've got an auxiliary input if you still want to connect a device for listening to music, you can do that here. We got the line out, we got a left, we got a right, and then we have the power. Let me show you this module. Oh yeah, here we go. Look at that. I usually leave those on, but I felt like I felt the need to do it. We have a bunch of different buttons here. We got our kit plus and minus. Here's our inputs and outputs on the back. A good shot of that. And then we've got our connector here on the back that's gonna connect all the pads from the kit. Cool design, I like it. And the tablet holder is gonna pop onto here somehow. Let me see if I can find that. So this thing looks like it just slides. Like there's these little spots in the back here. Looks like it's just gonna slide right into there. Maybe, if I don't break this. Yeah, there you go, that's it. So, boom, now you can put your phone up there, listen to all your favorite Drumeo lessons right there, and it should Bluetooth right onto the module so you'll listen to anything, YouTube videos, whatever you like. Let's move on to the hi-hat pedal. Typically these hi-hat pedals are really, really similar in nature. Since it doesn't have a stand-mounted traditional hi-hat setup, we get this. Now this is actually a lot smaller and more lightweight than I thought it was gonna be, but again, it's this similar design as most of these where they have the spring-loaded pedal on the top here, and yeah, it's pretty similar. Let me grab another one here. I will say that it's a lot smaller than, say, this Avatar one, and it is cheaper feeling because this is an all plastic design on the base. The only thing that's metal on this unit is the foot pedal itself, but if we compare it to another one of these, this has an all metal base, right? And it's a little bit more robust. It's a little bit heavier feeling. This one's plastic, it's more lightweight. It's going to do a good job. And it's got Velcro on the bottom here, which in theory should grip to carpeting. On different types of rugs, like this one in front of me that I'm using, typically this stuff doesn't, Velcro doesn't work, but we'll see if it slides forward or not. We've got our final cymbal arms. 1, 2, 3. These appear to all be the same thing, so I'm only gonna show one of these, but you get 3 of them. Basically, it's the same thing as the last one we looked at, just a little bit bigger. The other one we already checked out most likely was the hi-hat stand, and this is the same thing, you just get a longer arm here. Here's the manual. This was on the top of the box, and the drum key included is right here in this packaging. Cool design too, it's like all black. All right, I will get my area cleaned up and we will now begin with assembly. Look how easy this actually is. Everything is all set up and ready to go. Swing her around and boom. We got our rack set up. Let's go. Simple little 3-post rack. Let's take a look and see. This is one of those where you need a drum key because we don't have actual wing nuts on the rack here, right? We've got them on, there's different spots for the drums, but to tighten these down, we're gonna need the key that's included, which came with the manual in that plastic bag. Once you get everything on here, then you're gonna wanna tighten things down. So I'm gonna start with the toms, and for that, we're gonna need these pieces, and these are gonna go, let's take a look at how we set them up. They go in like this, loosen that up. They slide in like that. For the tom mounts, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually spin this forward, right? And then this piece is going to come in like so. Now these don't have wing nuts on them, so they kind of just sit in here tightly. And then you can adjust your toms to your liking. Now the way I did it, I already had the tom with the mount like in the drum itself. For most of these, I'm gonna recommend putting this piece in first. When you clamp down on this is gonna tighten the little clamp that holds this piece in here. So you actually may need to keep that loose while you put that in there. And we grab another tom, loosen this piece up. You may have to spin it slightly to get it where you want it. There you go, that's our 2 rack toms. Now the configuration of this kit makes it a little bit limited to how you can set this up. unfortunately. For most drummers, I think it's gonna be fine, especially if you're just starting out. Let me put some more of these together and then I'll reconvene once we move on to cymbals. Then also, if you're confused at all, the way I'm setting this up, I'm leaving one open for the ride cymbal here, then I'm putting the tom pad in, then I'm leaving another one open for the crash cymbal, and the final floor tom will go on this last one here. You'll find too that on these floor toms, I'm actually taking the post, the piece that holds the tom, and I'm spinning it to the right more to give me some more room. And now that I've got the toms on here, I'm actually gonna move the rack slightly. And this is why you don't want to completely tighten this rack till you have the toms on here, because you wanna have a good feeling for how you want your toms to be set up before making these changes. Otherwise, you're really gonna be pushing those, or you have to loosen them up. So I recommend leaving this loose. Now, the snare drum pad is slightly different to how you're gonna position this. They have it already really far forward. For me, I'm gonna take my key, and you can loosen this piece here and then slide it forward, because I like my snare drum to be a little bit more forward. So that's what we're gonna do. And then you just tighten that piece right back up. Now, if you wanted to raise the entire drum set up, there's a couple options. We can use furniture risers like I've mentioned for the Nitro Max. The other option is, of course, we can bring this entire bar up front. We can raise that up. We have to loosen them here, and then that allows the toms to come up. Then you have to bring up this arm here. You know, you only have about an inch here, so you're not gonna get much, but that will bring the snare drum up. It allows you to take this arm here, loosen this up, and bring the snare drum up. Right now, we're kind of stuck. We're right at the max for where this arm is currently sitting. So that's the only way to bring the snare drum up outside of loosening it here and pushing it up on the clamp side. Let me go ahead and get these cymbals on here. Overall, so far, I'm really impressed with how easy it is to set this up. With the rack already pre-assembled, it makes this process really, really easy. So I do appreciate that. And I hope that more electronic drum sets follow this trend, because this is really simple for beginners to figure out and set up. Finally, let's add the module. And that's the easiest one out of all of them to put on here. Now, with the cymbals, I wanna make sure I put the correct ones in the correct spots. The CYM10S is gonna be the hi-hat and the ride. So I've got that one here. Let's put that on the hi-hat. I will say with this kit, it seems like the threads on here really don't, the plastic is just not doing well for these wing nuts, okay? Okay, that works. What I'm doing is I'm taking off this felt piece from the stand. I'm putting the hi-hat cymbal pad on, then I'm putting the felt on here, not the drum key, and then I'm gonna re-screw this wing nut on. That should be good to go. And I'm not really a fan of that placement, so I'm gonna make a couple adjustments real quick. I like my hi-hat to be a little bit higher up. I think I'm gonna move this crash cymbal too. And it's really easy to do. Just use your drum key, and then you can slide it over. It's kind of where I like the positioning a little bit better. And for the crash cymbals, we want to use the CYM10SCs. These pieces on here are really loose, so I also would recommend tightening these down. Again, for the ride, we're going to use the CYM10S. First negative of the kit, I don't like these wing nuts. I think they'd be a lot better if they were metal, but they do get the job done. Just make sure you put them on straight, and they should work fine. Now, where this crash cymbal's set up, I'm not a huge fan of. I'm gonna try to move it slightly. It's kind of still in the way, so I'm gonna angle it a little bit more. Maybe something like that. We just have to position our kick pad and kick pedal. You just gotta tighten down your kick pedal right to the pad, and we should be good to go. Something that happens on a lot of these drum kits at this price point is, like I mentioned, with the hi-hat pedal, having that Velcro on it, the kick drum pads usually tend to slide forward. Oh, and also something, this is the first time I'm hitting the kick pad. It's pretty loud. So keep that in mind if you're in an apartment. The bass drum might be a problem. This is the kit all set up. We need to wire it up. We'll fire it up, we'll check it out, we'll see how it sounds. So kits at this price point typically have something like this, where we have a loomed connection, or a snake, right? So that all these cables are nicely wired together. and you get one connection point. The big problem, of course, though, is if one of these goes bad, there's not an easy way to just swap out a cable. You're gonna have to replace this entire piece. It does make it really simple, though, for connecting your drums together. Now all you have to do once you're connected is follow all the labels that are on here. They're color coded, and it makes it real easy to connect these. So this is hi-hat, HH. HH pedal, yep, that's it. Snare drum. It's actually pretty easy to find where you plug in on these pads. Sometimes that can be a little annoying and tricky. Tom 1, kick. Tom 2, crash. This is a longer cable, so I'm gonna take it over to this one. This one is for the ride. And we have Tom 3. Now you might be thinking, well, we're missing cables here. The loom that's made for this is for the smaller size of this kit, so you do require additional cables. Fortunately, they give them to you, so we're good to go. So technically, if we want to be correct, this crash actually needs to switch over to this one. And then we have our other floor tom. And fortunately, they are labeled too, so that is good. So finally, here's our little power brick. Let's plug her in and see what she sounds like. One other thing, Simmons does include these cable kind of clip things and also cable wraps. I'm not gonna bother with these because I'm probably gonna take the kit down, but you do have the option of making this setup look a lot cleaner if you use these. I spent about a half hour just kind of messing with the kit and playing around with it. And dude, this kit is impressive, especially for the under $500 category drum set. I don't know the exact price of this, but I know it retails in that range. And really the biggest standouts for me, at least at this moment, are gonna be the module and the snare drum pad. The samples in the Titan 50 drum module are some of the best I've ever heard, especially at this price point. Let me just play you the snare drum. That's on the first default preset, heavy rock. Let me just start going through some of these. Modern pop. And we'll go into more detail as far as the other kits and all the other drums, but really I'm impressed by the sounds of the kit. So we've got a dual zone snare drum here. We have single zone tom drums, and we've got two chokeable crash cymbals here. And one thing I'm always bringing up in these videos, and this is out to you drum manufacturers, when we have choked cymbals, I want there to be a slight decay. I don't want it to just cut off abruptly as much as it works. I want there to be a little bit of a tail just to make it a little more realistic. That said, choke feature works great on these, and the ride cymbal is similar to other kits at this price point to where if you hit the hardest velocity, 127 typically, you're gonna get a bell sound. That's pretty cool. I wish there were some presets where you get more of a wash, kind of a crash ride. The kits on the module load really fast. If I just play the snare drum here, it's basically instantaneous, which is awesome. The Titan 50 drum module has over 180 awesome sounding drum samples, and they have a longer decay than other kits at this price point. So you're getting more of a realistic drum sound at a pretty affordable price. And on the hi-hat pedal, foot splashes are really easy to pull off. If you're having any problems with that, just make sure you bring your foot up slightly on the pedal. But when I'm testing it, I'm getting consistent results every time. As far as the presets themselves, most of them are really good. If I have any complaints about the sounds overall of this kit, it's going to be on the cymbal samples. A lot of them feel more generic, kind of almost MIDI sounding compared to the snare drum, the toms, and the kick samples. Really, like, they knocked it out of the park with these samples on the Titan 50 BEX. So I am very, very happy with that. So for the beginners out there, at this present moment, I think the Titan 50 BEX has a slight advantage over the Alesis Nitro Max, which we reviewed a little while ago. So keep that in mind if you're looking for an electronic drum set under $500. Now for noise, if you're living in an apartment, the Titan 50 BEX is gonna be kind of loud, at least for the kick drum. This thing is pretty loud. And one way you could alleviate that issue would be to use a softer beater, and make sure you use the included bass drum patch, right? Because then that's gonna protect the mesh, and you could potentially use a quieter beater. That's gonna help out a lot. Also, the fact that the drums have this rubber on them, that's gonna help out a lot in reducing the noise. But as far as the toms go, they're all single zone, so for the most part, you're not gonna be hitting the rims on these ones. For the snare, I would say you're gonna need to be hitting those rims because, man, do the rim shots on these samples sound great. Really, at this price point, this is one of the best electronic drum sets you can buy. I'm very impressed with this and definitely can recommend this to most beginners and even some intermediate players. Bluetooth right now is a huge thing. Every drum module on the market needs to have it, and fortunately the Titan 50 has this feature. And what you can do is you can load up your Spotify, connect your phone right to the module, and jam with your favorite songs. It's awesome for learning, especially with this little device holder. Connect your phone to the module, load up a YouTube drum lesson, and you can play along really easily, and it makes it so easy to learn. Quickly, I want to show you guys how cool the Simmons drum app is. So I just went ahead and connected it to Bluetooth. I opened the app up, I clicked the Bluetooth icon. It walks you through all of this, mind you. And it says, connect to your Titan. All you do is click the Bluetooth button, click your kit, boom, it's connected. It's that fast. So then you open up this little menu here, and what we can do is we can choose presets, and we can swap through all the presets that are installed on the Titan 50 BEX, which is really great. And then we have the kit edit mode. This makes it way easier to edit your drum kit than doing it on the module because there's only a few buttons there, so we can adjust, which kick we want. We can just go boom, like it's that easy. We just change to the Ludwig Maple 14x22. Very simple. Then we have the mix, and we have a mixer here, so we can adjust the volumes. This is so huge. And then there's the practice section, which has a bunch of different preset songs, which we can go through. I don't typically recommend using these, but these are kind of cool. There's a bunch of different songs here, metal, R&B, classic rock. Then there's the play along function, where you're gonna tap to load a song from your own library. And finally, there is a setup tab, which just basically has trigger settings, master volume, local MIDI, on or off. You can save presets, load global settings, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm not seeing anything in here yet about downloading sounds to it, but I think I saw that. I'm not sure 100% on that. But the Titan 50 app is really, really cool. And I'm really glad to see companies embracing applications for use with the electronic drums, because it's not something that we see very often. Even if you don't want to use the included sounds, we do have the USB output on the back, so you can connect right to your laptop and pull up Superior Drummer 3 or Addictive Drums, whatever VST instrument that you'd like to use. Kit number 1, this is heavy rock. Kit number 2, modern pop. Kit number 3 is called metallic. Next up, we've got kit number 4, Americana. Kit number 5, Funk Booty. Kit number 6, we've got Yacht Rock. Kit number 7 is Fusion Club. Kit number 8, Sunset Strip. Kit number 9 is called Empire. Kit number 10 is called Punchy Rock. Kit number 11 is called Big Ballad. Ooh, that tom rings out for a while. Kit number 12 is called Top 40. Thirteen is called Young Punk. Kit number 14 is called High Volume. Kit number 15 is called Metal Star. Oh, wait a minute. That's an interesting one. Kit number 16 is called 80s Gated. So that's kind of a brief overview of some of the kits included on the Titan 50 drum module. There's a bunch of user kits you can edit to your liking. Something that's cool about the module, I'll put in a little footage while you're playing. There's a little drum set on the module and it lights up with whatever drum you're playing. It's not something super game changing, but it is kind of cool to see what drums are being played and having the little light illuminate. It looks awesome. The triggering itself feels really, really good. Sometimes the hi-hats feel a little bit quiet compared to, on some kits like. It's not totally that big of a deal, but like triggering overall, I think is really good on this kit. You can really hear how long that hi-hat decays. I will say the hi-hat pedal has the least amount of dynamic range. I don't really think there is. I think it's just either on or off. Because I can't really go quiet with it. It's hard to, really. It doesn't really pick it up sometimes. All right, so my thoughts on the Simmons Titan 50 BEX. I think there's a lot of positives here. Pros, we get that 10-inch snare drum. It's dual zone. The tom pads are single zone. It's not totally ideal, but for this price, you're getting 4 tom pads, which is honestly huge. I mean, 4 tom pads at this price point is kind of unheard of. So it's a bigger kit, which I really do like. The sounds are some of the best I've heard in a kit at this price. Everything I've read online prior to this, I mean, the Simmons Titan series is kind of renowned for the sounds that are included in the drum module. So that is another pro. The software application that you can install on your iPhone or Android is amazing for selecting kits, choosing different presets, switching out drums, editing the kits. Really, really awesome. The rack comes pre-assembled. It's really easy to fold it up and store it away. The kit's small enough, so it's not like it's gonna take up tons of room. It's really a solid drum set, and I especially recommend this to beginners
but I think intermediate players will also get a lot of good value out of this. On the negative side, it is a smaller kit. The tom sizes aren't that big, so you will feel a little bit cramped if you're used to a bigger drum set. You're gonna have to compromise a little bit on that front. The hi-hat sometimes feels a little bit unrealistic as far as while you're playing it, and the volumes between the kit presets can be inconsistent on the cymbals. Some of the crash cymbals sound awesome, and some of them sound like generic MIDI files. The kick pedal, I would upgrade. I think that's a negative point of the kit. It works, but it's definitely nothing amazing. And for some reason, the kick pad is just loud. So I'd say that's a negative. But overall, I don't think you can go wrong with this drum set. I think it's a really solid value. It has a pretty good edge over the Alesis Nitro Max, and you're getting an additional cymbal and an additional floor tom, which is huge because normally if you buy the Nitro Max and you want another drum and another cymbal, you gotta buy the expansion pack. Good job, Simmons. I definitely recommend this electronic drum set. So if you guys want some more information on the Titan 50 electronic drum set, be sure to go down to the video description. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you all in the next video. And while I still have your attention, be sure to check out one of these recommended videos I've got linked up right here. All right, see you later.